Tony D and Little Joan is asleep on the couch, and this is a screenwriter's rant on women talking. A movie that couldn't have a worse name to get me to watch it. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 9. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Also at Amazon.com is a book called Women Talking, which this movie is based. Now, I watched the trailer. I think the trailer is terrible because I was making fun of it, and then I said, you know what? Let me read what the hell this movie's about, since the trailer does an incredibly poor job of that, in my view. So, the trailer shows you the women, and something's happening. You don't really know what. It looks like an Amish community, I said. And then I said, well, maybe it's Mennonite. Well, it turns out it is the Mennonites. And it's not in America. It's in Bolivia, which it gives it no indication that it's Bolivia in this entire thing. So the premise of the book, which I think is based on a true story, is that a group of men in the Mennonite community, or around the Mennonite community, I should say, were using animal anesthesia to drug and rape women in the early 2000s. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But there's no mention of that in this. You just get glimpses of, I don't know, images of Frances McDermott sporting a badass scar. So the premise of the movie is, it's about what the women are going to do. Do they stay? Do they fight? Do they leave? Because they're from a religious community. The bishop says, no, you have to forgive the men and God and whatever. So, of course, they say no, and then they're going to flee. Okay, that's a cool movie. I mean, at least according to the book, that sounds like a cool plot. I mean, it's terrible what happened, obviously, but you could totally build a plot around that. The novel is taken from the notes of a man named August Epp, because most of the women couldn't read or write, so he took notes for the women. So I don't see that character in this. And in fact, he was a school teacher in the novel. I think this character is the school teacher. I think they gender swapped her, which already I'm like, that undercuts, I think, what the author intended in the story, because I think it's a stronger thing that August is a man, and that he has to grapple with that too, because he's not a bad guy in this, obviously. He's trying to help the women. And spoilers, big time spoiler ahead, so if you want to see this, go see it, but August, in the book, doesn't leave with the women. And the women do eventually leave, which makes sense because what they went through is horrible. So to me, you've got a good story here. I mean, again, not good in the sense that I'm glad it happened. Good in the sense like you have a framing device or a true story that, I mean, people would want to see these women escape to happier climes. And then, you get the credit roll, and the women went on to blah, 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 blah. Instead, you don't get that. You get a lot of confusing images that imply something terrible is happening to the women. They don't actually state what it is. I think, obviously, it's probably some sexual assault. But, I mean, I don't need to see it, but some kind of line of dialogue would have been nice to. And how about that it takes place in Bolivia? So I don't know, that this trailer I felt was very obtuse for the subject matter after reading the description of the book, that I had to go look up the book. I almost did this without looking it up, like I often do, because I feel that the trailer should tell me enough to make me go see this movie. Now, Women Talking isn't a great title for a movie or a book to get me to read it, but I can see why the author, now that I know what it's about, would say that, right? It's women talking. August is taking the notes. It's what they said amongst each other. It's how they discussed what they were going to do about this terrible situation. But where's the, I don't know, the urgency here? I mean, most of this trailer are kids playing in a field. Okay, with this, it's not quite color. It's not like black and white. It's some washed out tones. Like, what are you trying to convey here? Is it black and white? Is it not black and white? Some of it seems to be just washed out color. Like, this kind of looks like color. I don't know. There's some color in here, right? Am I blind? I think there's some color in that. Yeah, that's definitely red. So, what? Sarah Polley, the director, I don't know what you're doing here. This hits movies in December. It looks incredibly depressing. The music's very sad. Now, it's a drama about a terrible incident, so that tracks. But give us some hope here. I mean, if this is about these women escaping, give us a couple lines of dialogue that indicate that. What are we going to do? We have to escape. Then that's about all I need to go, oh, okay, so it's about these women escaping a terrible situation. Will they escape? Will they not escape? I didn't know anything about this, but now I had to ruin it for myself by looking it up. Would I go see this? Not based on this trailer, and not based on this work. I mean, this feels like they kind of effed it up. Or they're, I don't know, in the middle of editing the damn thing, and this is all the good footage they had? Like, give me some lines of dialogue to indicate where this is going. Don't make me go look it up on Wikipedia or whatever. Like, give us, and like, you look it up on Wikipedia, look the movie up on Wikipedia. Doesn't have a plot. You know, you can tell us the plot without giving away the ending. The book, however, has been out for a while, so that gives away the ending. So, assuming they even followed the book, which is another question entirely because it's Hollywood and who knows. The upshot, Frances McDermott's in it, and she's great, but her credit is with Frances McDermott and another actor. So she's not a main character. She's essentially, you know, extended cameo to get people to go see this. I mean, she's normally in the Coen Brothers stuff, right? Great actress. Coen Brothers stuff does have a little bit of levity to it. Now, I'm not expecting levity in this movie, but I don't think you can hang your hat on just Frances McDermott's fan base. I mean, it's decent. It's pretty big. Great actress. I think you need a little more. And you need something to give us the idea of what the hell this movie's about. The other thing, that whether or not these women were raped is completely unclear in the trailer. It's kind of implied, and I kind of inferred that, but it could have been wrong. It could have been like, I don't know, they were killing all their pets. You know, it is just kind of a jumbled bunch. It's just a mess of images. It's just very frustrating because, look, this is an important issue. What happened to these women? And, you know, it's not good. And it's an intense story. Probably should be told. Needs to be handled with some amount of delicacy. But you need to tell us the damn story. You need to tell us the story. Give us some lines of dialogue. This can't continue. Or, you know, I can't have this baby. Or I've been raped. Something. I wasn't even sure if it was Mennonite or Amish. The only reason I said Mennonite is because, well, I didn't see any Amish guys running around. Which begs the other question. Where are the Mennonite husbands? Are they the ones doing this? because they were in cowboy. Two of them were in cowboy hats. I didn't know. You know, for what little I know about Amish and Mennonites, I thought they all have like a particular uniform. I didn't think they had cowboy hats and flannel shirts. Also, wasn't sure what time period this took place. There's one shot of a truck in the trailer. So, you know, if you're not going to tell us it's Mennonites or a religious community or that it's in Bolivia, you know, you can misinterpret this. If you blink, you're going to miss the truck. And then what are you going to think about this movie? Oh, it must take place in the 1800s in America because everybody's speaking English. So this is not, it's a frustrating trailer is what I'm saying. You know, it sounds like a story that needs to be told that could be a good movie. You could squeeze a lot of drama out of it, but this trailer, makes me want to not see it. Because if the trailer's this obtuse, how obtuse is the movie going to be? Are they just going to dance around the subject and I have to guess what they're talking about for like 2 hours until they finally leave and I go, oh. Or until one of them ends up dead in the third act and I go, oh. So, first act, I assume it probably starts out with one of these women screaming and a guy running away and the other women come to comfort her and it's happened again, that she's been attacked and horribly raped and, you know, or maybe it starts with Frances McDermott as a young woman and it happened to her and the guy cuts her in the face, something like that. And then the first act is about the fallout from that, whether it's like 10 years, 20 years later, or, you know, what's going to be done. Once again, it's being covered up again by the community. The women are talking. They can't live like this. They try everything they can within the confines of the community to get some kind of justice. They can't get it. Second act, they finally decide we have to fight, stay, or leave. What are we going to do? So they sit around talking. They share their experiences. Maybe we get some flashbacks of other horrible crimes. Eventually they come up with a plan to leave. Or they probably dither for part of the second act. Like, oh no, we can't leave, but then it gets worse somehow. Or, you know, some guy says something like, oh honey, this is just part of living life or whatever. And they go, can't live like this. So then at some point in the second act, they decide upon the plan. The plan is to leave. And they have an elaborate plan. How are they going to do that? Well, we're going to accumulate some money, hide it from our husbands and boyfriends or whatever. Then we're going to steal some horses. And, I mean, according to the book, I think they steal some horses. And then two of the women, like, seduce the men who are in charge of them or guarding them or whatever. They end up giving away... This is from the book, so it might not be the movie, but I mean, this would be a good scene. The women get drunk. They end up telling the guys about the women's plans, but before the men can warn the other men, they drug them with the same anesthesia they drug the women, and they get away. So a happy ending to a rather terrible situation. Happy in quotes there. But that to me is a good premise. It's a good framework to work with because it's all about these women escaping, so you can get into the nitty-gritty details of their life and how they, you know, use their womanly ways to, you know, steal all the little things that they need to escape and, you know, fool their husbands and boyfriends or whatever. How they're going to take the kids, where they're going to go, what they're going to do, who their allies are, who their allies aren't. I mean, that's all good fodder. But you don't get that in the trailer. So, Sarah Polley, the director, I mean, if you cut this, I don't know why. You know, it screams like, what the hell is this movie about? That's what it screams to me. It just, you have this amazing story where these women triumph in a terrible, terrible situation. These women can't read or write, and they escape. They're super ultra religious. They've been in this community for their entire lives, but they escape it anyway because the situation is so bad. That's a pretty amazing story. It speaks to the human spirit that they can rise above this and escape. None of that's in the trailer. The only thing that's in the trailer is the terrible things maybe that are happening to them, which are sort of implied, kind of, sort of, maybe, and I'm not even sure. I mean, watch the trailer yourself. I think it's a terrible trailer. Is it a good movie? I don't know. See, typically, the director would have at least some say in this cut. Certainly the studio would. If this is the best cut that the studio could put together, it also speaks to the director's talents, which means maybe the whole movie's obtuse. Maybe we never even get to see them escape. So, you know, I don't know. Is this going to be a soapbox movie where you take a story that was pretty solid from beginning to end and you just use it to lecture us about the patriarchy? Because that's what I'm leaning towards. And this is definitely an art house movie. It's not going to get a wide release. Nor should it. I mean, it's kind of depressing. And it's about something pretty obscure. An event. I mean, I'm not discounting the story. It's kind of amazing. But I think you can only get so much mileage if you tell people it's about a terrible incident that happened in Bolivia. And like half of America goes, Bolivia, where's that? So, you know, I think this could be good. It's not looking good from the trailer. So when does it come out? No idea. Let's see. Yeah, screenplay by Sarah Polley, based upon the book by Miriam Toews, directed by Sarah Polley. I'll tell you this, the book sounds good. December only in theaters. PG-13? How's this PG-13? I don't know. I mean, the subject matter's pretty adult. I mean, rape? I don't know if I'd want... I don't get the rating system. I get it. There's no nudity and cursing in it, but the subject matter's pretty adult. Sounds like an R rating to me, but that's weird. PG-13 for a movie about mass rape? Here are the actresses. I only recognize Frances McDormand. Now it says with Ben Whishaw. Maybe he plays August. I don't think so. I think they gender swapped the main character, but Claire Foy, that name sounds familiar. All right, so it's called Women Talking. December. And that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. I'm going to go be frustrated about something else. We'll see you in the next one.